guys, welcome. So I am going to talk today a little bit about bullying. So usually I do this presentation in person, but because of the way things are, I figured let's try to do this presentation through a video. This is just a quick definition of what bullying is and just a few things just to kind of help explain what bullying is. Okay. This is a great website that has a bunch of bullying resources for schools. And I like to start off on this slide to talk about just how different these people look. I don't know if you could see my pointer, but just everyone looks very different. And I always point out to a classroom, when we look around, everyone looks very different, that this would be a very boring world if all of you guys looked exactly like me. So instead of making fun of how different people are, we should embrace and be happy that we're all very different and make this world such a unique and beautiful place. So what is bullying? Okay, so this really gets into a good bit of the details. I like to point out that bullying is four things. Okay, so four things have to be there for it to be bullying, and all of that is covered in here as well. First is that the person needs to be hurt. Okay, so like someone may push you, but it could hurt, but it doesn't hurt, but there has to be that level of hurt. But also, hurt is not necessarily pushing or punching, because yes, that can hurt, but also feelings can get hurt and emotions can get hurt. So there are different ways to be hurt, which we can see here. One person is intentionally hurting or harming. The second thing that I say needs to be there for it to be bullying is that it has to be done on purpose. Okay. So I wish you guys could see me, because I always give this perfect example. Miss Burns likes to kind of stand with her legs sticking out. Okay. And just the way my leg sticks out, sometimes people might trip on my foot just because my body's over here, but my foot's over here. So, is that bullying? Of course, most of you guys say, no, that's not bullying. Well, but you're getting hurt, because when you trip and you fall, then you get hurt, right? But why is it not bullying? Because Miss Burns is not doing it on purpose. Now, she might stand like that on purpose, but she doesn't mean to trip people on purpose. That's just the comfortable way that Miss Burns stands, because she's tall, well, kind of tall, and that's just the way I like to stand. So there's a difference between it happening on purpose and on accident. Probably the biggest complaint I get with kids is that when they're waiting in the lunch line, they get pushed and shoved. And almost 99% of the time, that was an accident, because usually when you're in line, hopefully not COVID lines now, because y'all should have your space between each other. But sometimes you get kind of close, and so when you get close, somebody might push, and then the other person might push into you. And so that's really on accident. And so I get a lot of those where people get angry because somebody got pushed, and it ended up being more of an accident. Okay, so this says a hard time making it stop, but that kind of falls into my third point that has to be bullying, which is also this point here. It has to be repeated. So it has to happen over and over and over again. So someone might call you a name, and no, that's not nice. We agree that that's not nice and that should not happen. But it's usually not bullying at that point. It's usually, yeah, but that is a good time to tell someone, just so that we can make sure that it's not going to be bullying. So yeah, it has to be repeated. So what does repeated mean? Usually kids will tell me 3, 4 times, but really repeated just means more than once. Okay, and then the last one, which is probably the hardest for me to explain, is that the fourth thing that needs to be there is that the other kid needs to have some kind of power over you. Okay, So what does that mean? That's why I like this PowerPoint, because it says power can mean anything, okay? But they have to have some kind of advantage over you. So let's say Miss Burns is tripping people in the hallway on purpose, okay? What kind of power do I have over you as a student? Well, I'm an adult, right? So that's a power that I have over you. I'm older. I have more power here at the school. So there are many different things that can happen to have power. This gives a lot of examples. So someone older than someone might pick on someone just because they're younger. Sometimes sometimes I'll hear like the older kids, like the third or fourth graders, like make fun of the kindergartners because they don't know what 2 plus 2 is. But it's like, yeah, and so that's kind of like an older thing. It's not necessarily who's smarter, because like, kindergartners probably don't know how to do 2 plus 2 yet. So, but give them till they're in third grade and they'll know how to do 2 plus 2 too. So older, bigger, stronger, more popular. That's probably the biggest one that is used. So who has the most friends? So that's definitely probably the biggest issue that I see with people bullying and picking on other people, is that usually they're more popular and they have more friends. And then because of that, they can gang up on the person who doesn't have as many friends. And that's probably the one that we see the most examples of when we watch bullying videos and stuff like that. So, and it also says this definition varies greatly. Like I said, mine's a little different, but it's pretty much the same. They just add an extra point, which there's nothing wrong with adding more to it. So a lot of kids describe bullying as when someone tries to make you feel bad about yourself. So there were 4 things that need to be there for the definition of bullying. There are also 4 kinds of bullying, and I know people get this confused because usually when I come back a month later, I'm like, all right, tell me the definition of bullying. Most kids are like, cyberbullying, and it's like, oh, that's types of bullying. So so we have physical, which is using your body. So it might be pushing, it might be hitting anywhere where that could probably cause a bruise. That's probably the best way to describe physical, is when you use any part of your body to cause harm to someone else's body. That's physical, okay? And this gets into it: shoves, hits, kicks, bites. Basically, like I said, anything that could cause a bruise. So verbal is a little different. Verbal means our words, okay? So that's using your words to hurt someone, okay? But there are a couple of different kinds of verbal, okay? So, and like I said, probably the most common. So examples are teasing, name calling, threats, jokes, rumors, stuff like that. Then there is emotional. This one's harder to find. But probably the best way I explain this is, a lot of you guys have seen the movie Mean Girls. Like, they don't necessarily say mean things like you're stupid, but they might like get their friends to like tell their friends like, we're just not going to talk to that person anymore. We're going to make them feel like like they're not a good person. So that's more emotional. You use less, you still could use your words, but it's less of teasing, picking on, and all that's included with verbal. It's more of making someone feel really bad in other ways. And then, of course, the thing that's growing the most, and probably even if we look at statistics, might be the most popular these days, is cyberbullying, okay? And I'm hoping to get a video soon specifically on cyberbullying, because I have had this amazing presentation that was done here in Louisiana that talks about just some of the different ways that kids can cyberbully and some of the different platforms. And when I say platforms, I mean like social media, like Instagram or Snapchat or something like that, or even your video games like Fortnite. or just anything like that. And so it's a whole different world when we get into cyberbullying. But it's basically using technology to make someone feel bad. And that could even include a text message. So anything like that, where they're using the internet. And I say this is really sad because when I was your age, we didn't have this internet. I know I'm an old lady, but we didn't have all this internet and all these different ways to communicate. But you guys, it's a little bit harder because like when I used to get picked on at school, I could go home and they weren't there. I had my mom and my dad, and I loved them and they loved me. And so it was a happy place to go. But you guys, when you go home, you're still connected to your friends. You still have that. And so if they're picking on you at school, it might even still continue at home. Just know that if that does happen, you can let someone here at the school know. Sometimes we can help because sometimes cyberbullying, even though it's happening at home, it can still, you could still let a teacher know or let a counselor or a social worker know so that we can try to take steps to stop that as well. Okay, so why does this matter? Why are we even talking about bullying? I don't understand, you know? Well, it's very important because I'm sure that you guys have watched the news, have heard that people every day are being bullied, are being picked on, and they start to feel sad, and they might do something to hurt themselves or hurt others, okay? So that's why we're trying to educate you, because my experience as a counselor and being with many of you guys is that nobody really wants to be a bully. Nobody really wakes up and says, I'm going to be a bully today. Just sometimes people don't think about it. They don't realize that they are. And so talking with someone can help because then we can at least start the conversation so that if someone is picking on you, or hey, let's take it on the other side. Maybe you're picking on someone. Hey, if someone's being picked on, somebody's got to do the picking. And most likely we've all been in both roles. Yes, even Miss Burns. So we've all been picked on, and we all have picked on people. Okay? So sometimes realizing, well, maybe I could have done something different. Maybe I could have been a little bit nicer. What can I do to make up for that now? So that's why this matters, because no one wants to be a bully. No one wants to be bullied. And so sometimes it's just saying, hey, this needs to stop. And hopefully it will. So who gets bullied? Okay? We're used to watching TV and seeing the one with the glasses that maybe always carrying the books, that they're always the one that's being bullied. But that is not true anymore. Anyone can be bullied, okay? Even the jock, even the biggest kid in the school, even the oldest kid in the school. Actually, they're probably more likely to get picked on too because they're so big and they're a bit older, you know, so that happens too. So bullying is about behavior. There's not a look. It's not like everyone who wears glasses is going to be the one that gets bullied, okay? There's not a look. It's about your behavior. It's about the way you act, okay? So it can be directed to the shy, quiet student or the class tough guy. Girls bully, boys bully, preschool kids bully, and high school kids bully. They all do. And I know usually people get kind of shocked when I say preschool kids bully, but I have a great example. A school I had years ago. I remember I was walking in the hallway and a fifth grader was crying in the hallway. And I'm like, what is wrong, sweetie? And she was like, there's a kindergartner in my class and she made fun of the color of my skin. And this was a black girl. And I was like, wait, the kindergartner is black also. So it ended up, so this fifth grader ended up getting her feelings hurt because she was commenting on how dark her skin was, because this girl was a lighter shade of dark. And so I was like, sweetie, she was just saying that you were very dark. She wasn't making fun of you. I think, you know, and so luckily this kindergartner wasn't bullying, but I do have kindergartners that bully. But even kindergartners can make fifth graders feel really bad. So that did kind of shock me, but it definitely happens. So one thing is certain, though, that no one ever deserves to be bullied, no matter how thick their glasses are, no matter how curly their hair is, no matter what color their skin is, no matter how well they do on a test or how old they are. No one ever deserves to be bullied or to feel like they're less than anyone else. Everyone has the right to feel safe. So now we talked about who gets bullied. Who does the bullying? Well, guess what? If anyone can be bullied, then guess what? Anyone can be the bully. So again, when we look at videos, we usually see the tough guy, just like in this picture. He looks kind of mean. He looks kind of angry. He looks like he could be the bully, right? But what we're seeing is even with cyberbullying that even the ones with the glasses, because they are behind the internet and sometimes you don't know who's saying anything, they had that what's called anonymity. That, and I think I'm saying it wrong, anonymity. So that basically means that you're anonymous, that they don't know who you are. And so back when I was in high school and social media was just starting to come out, this was definitely an issue, was that people could pick on other people through, it was kind of like an instant messenger, like a DM on Facebook or something like that, but back then it was very different. And so people could create these screen names and nobody would know who they are. So that's the thing, is that you have this anonymity, especially with stuff like Fortnite. You can easily create a profile and no one would know who you are. And so you could do something like that. So so really anyone is doing the bullying now. So again, it's not about appearance, it's about the behavior, okay? And so bullies can be any size, age, grade, or gender. So who else is involved? So we talked about the person being bullied, we talked about the person doing the bullying, but there's this other person here, and they're probably the most important. So there's this group that sees the bullying, okay? So they might not be getting bullied like everyone else, but they could probably make the biggest difference. Okay, so think about it. Have you ever seen a fight and maybe a group will start to form around it? And and so those people that form around it do different things, right? There are those who watch and say nothing. There are those who walk away. And then there are those that cheer it on. Of course, we also have those that get in the middle of it too. But that's a whole different thing. So the way that you handle that situation can help. Okay, and we'll get into that later. What's the best thing to do if you're one of these people? Okay, so there's more, okay? So anyone can be the bully. Anyone could be bullied, right? But not only that, it can switch. So you might be bullied one day and then all of a sudden later on that day just be like, you know what, this person made me mad, so I'm gonna go pick on someone else to make them feel sad too. So as quickly as you can be bullied, you can turn and be the bully. So because it's about behavior, okay, and your behavior can change just like your mood. So, but also because of that, your behavior can change. Let's look at that in a positive way. So if you're being the bully, you can easily change that too. All right. I love this explanation. Have you ever wanted to say something to the teacher, but you're afraid it's tattling? So what's the difference between telling and tattling? And I know most teachers say, I don't want any tattlers. Now, luckily, I've come across some teachers in my time who are like, I let the kids say anything, whether they're tattling or telling. Okay, so what's the difference between telling and tattling? Okay, so telling is when you tell someone because you are trying to prevent or you're trying to stop yourself or someone else from being hurt. Okay, tattling is when you do it to get someone in trouble. Okay, so let me give you a couple of examples. Okay, if someone is hitting you, is that telling or tattling? Most of the time it's telling. I'm going to give you another example because and you could disagree with me on this and that's fine. So one time I had this kid who raised his hand and I went over, he had a big smile on his face. And he said, "Miss Burns, he's hitting me." So in my opinion, that was more tattling because it didn't seem like he was being hurt. And this is a kid who when he gets picked on, he would be very emotional, you know, and so this was a kid I knew very well. So in that situation, I knew it was tattling because he was just trying to get this kid in trouble because he wasn't supposed to sit next to this kid. And so that's why he was tattling to try and get the kid to be moved away from him. So that's probably the biggest difference. Of course, we have like simple examples, like Miss Burns, he took my pencil. That's probably more tattling, especially if you have other pencils. So just examples like that where you're not being hurt, that is more tattling. That's when you just tell just to get someone in trouble. And remember, it's always okay to tell an adult if you see bullying or if you see it happening to you or if you know it's happening to you. It's actually the really smart thing to do because an adult can help. Okay, so if you're being bullied, what can you do? Okay, there's a lot that you can do. Okay, first, I hate using the word just ignore it because when you just ignore it, it doesn't necessarily help. But knowing that you don't deserve it, that has to go with it. Okay, so if you do choose to ignore, just know I do not deserve what this person is saying to me. Okay, so don't just ignore it and be like, because guess what? They're still winning. Okay, but if they say something like, let's give an example. Let's say somebody's calling me stupid. Okay, so I could ignore it, not say anything, but sit here in class and just be angry because I'm not stupid. Or let's say they call me stupid. I could say to myself, I know I'm not stupid. I have my test grades to prove it. And then just go into class like normal. So knowing that you don't deserve what's happening, no matter even what grade you have, if you have an F right there, so what? It doesn't make you stupid. So tell someone, your parents, a teacher, a trusted adult, anyone, okay, like anyone that you can. So I had someone a few years ago that came up with a great example, and he was like, Miss Burns, what if I go and play basketball down the street and there are no adults and I'm being bullied? What do I do then? That was a great question because yeah, that is something that does happen sometimes. And I like to look at the next one. With that adult that you chose to tell, develop a plan on how you can respond to the situation. What does that mean? So you could come to Miss Burns and say, Miss Burns, I'm being bullied at this basketball goal down the street. But does Miss Burns know what street you live on? Nope, Miss Burns does not live around here. So probably the best person to go to in that situation would be your parents or whoever is in charge of you at home ahead of time. Like if you know that that's a problem and you know it's such a problem that you're coming to talk to me now about it, talk to them and say, hey, this happens. What can I do to what can I do during that situation when I'm playing basketball and there are no adults around, and you and that adult can come up with a plan. Um, and the adult might help you decide how other students can help. So if you go to that basketball court with a friend, knowing that you can go to your friend and say, hey, this isn't cool. You know, maybe we could head out, so that you have someone there on your side. Okay. I know a lot of times when I'm dealing with kids that are being bullied, we talk a lot about friends and how your friends can help you in that situation, and knowing that you do have friends, and that no matter what this person says, that you do have someone that is on your side. So know your rights. Most states have laws against bullying. I like to point out, quite a few years ago, I had a student that was arrested for bullying. Now, this was a situation that ended up being cyberbullying, and so they had very definite proof that this child was bullying, and she was a fourth grader at the time. So just know that there are laws against it. And actually, like I said, I'm hoping to have some police officers do a video on especially cyberbullying and the laws around that, because they can really get into what could be a law-breaking offense. But basically, if it keeps happening, so like usually when bullying happens here in the school, usually the teachers will kind of handle it first and see if they can help, and then if the teachers don't help, then usually we step in as counselors and social workers. And also there's a lot of paperwork involved with this, and so if it keeps happening even beyond that, we have all this paperwork saying the school did this, you did this, and this is still happening, and it could eventually lead to an arrest. So just keep that in mind for both sides, if you're the bully or you're being bullied. So students who bully, the ones who are picking on the other people, what can you do? Like I said, sometimes, like just knowing that, hey, sometimes I'm picked on, but hey, sometimes I pick on people. So first admitting that is a good first step, but understand that your actions are hurting people, okay? Just like I said before, we all make mistakes, okay? And we can all learn from our mistakes and make better choices from those mistakes, or we can go backwards and keep making the same mistakes, but those have consequences. Either way, they have consequences, okay? So just knowing that your actions are hurting someone. Know that it's never okay to hurt someone, especially if you're doing it repeatedly and on purpose. Realize, just like I said in the beginning, that everyone in this world deserves respect. Okay, you might say, well, they're disrespectful to me, I'm not going to be respectful for them, but they still deserve your respect. Every living being deserves your respect. And the differences are part of our world. So talk with someone, your parents, a teacher, or a trusted adult, and ask for help. I know I've worked with a lot of people who have been picking on people, just to come up with some different things and some reasons why it's happening, and just to kind of come up with some different things to do. Because like I said, no one wants to be a bully, no one wants to be arrested for being a bully. And so it's just working with those trusted adults to make changes that will help you in the long run. So witnesses, these were our third people that we were talking about. Let me get some water too. So if you see someone being bullied, speak up. I know probably one of the biggest sayings that I hear today are snitches get stitches. I hear that a lot, okay? But can you really live with yourself if you know that someone's being hurt and you know that it's happening? It's really tough. So you want to, you really want to say something, especially if it can make a difference to someone. So us saying, as people who watch, because I'll admit I've been on every side. I've been the one picked on. I've been the one picking. I'm not going to say bullied. Either way, I wouldn't say I was necessarily bullied. I wouldn't say I was necessarily bullied, but being picked on, being the picker, but also witnessing. Okay, but when we say as a witness and as someone who sees it that I am willing to make a difference and I'm going to make my school better. Okay? So that's what you need to say so that you can start to make the difference in the school. Okay? And you're probably like, I'm one person. I can't make a difference in a school of 600 or 800 kids. You can start that change. Okay? It always has to start somewhere. Okay? So let others know that you're not going to accept bullying at your school. And then others are willing to speak up as well. So if you can see a bully, if you see a bullying, then go tell a grown-up. You're not a snitch that gets stitches, I promise, okay? You are doing what you can to make your school a safer and better place for everyone, okay? So, and also let me point out, would you want to be the reason why someone is depressed? Like, you might not be the bully, the one that's picking on them, but if you know it's happening and you could have said something, you would feel so sad when something happens to that person and they're like, I just couldn't take the bullying anymore. And then you probably would have been like, oh, I should have did something. Yeah, so reach out. Tell the kid who's being bullied that he or she does not deserve to be treated that way. Nobody does. A lot of times, for someone who's being picked on, all they need to know in that moment when they're being picked on is that they have a friend, okay? Because I'm betting that they feel like nobody is on their side and that everyone is looking at them like they're stupid and that they are the scum of the earth, that they are lower than everyone, okay? But just letting them know that they're a friend, that's all you need to do. Ask friends to join in being a kid against bullying, which is a pledge that we have at the end. Usually I do this with people, so this is going to be interesting on the internet. So witnesses, again, what can you do? You can be a friend. You can invite that kid who's being picked on or bullied to play with you. That's all they need in that moment, is just to feel like they have someone on their side. Let the person being bullied know that they think that you think that they're okay. We can all find a compliment on anyone. I mean, and not just a compliment like, hey, nice shirt today, but maybe like something really good about them. Like, hey, in class, I love your answers that you give. I can tell that you really think a lot, or something about their personality. Like, you're always happy. I love that you're always happy. Or you're always quick with the jokes. I love laughing with you. It's so much fun. So you can always find a good compliment that really compliments the person. So work toward an environment where everyone can feel accepted, no matter what they look like, how they are, how they act, that everyone is accepted. So speak up, reach out, be a friend, be a kid against bullying. Okay. Seriously. Boys will be boys. What do you think? Well, if they're hurting each other, that's not okay. So usually when you hear boys will be boys, they're fighting in a corner and wrestling, right? That might be okay at home, not okay here at school, because hurting each other is not okay. Girls don't bully. That is totally not true. I mentioned the movie Mean Girls earlier. That's totally a perfect example of girls bullying. They just usually do it with their words or with their emotions. Words will never hurt you. Now, some people do agree with that words will never hurt you. Great. You are well above some other people, but I know that when I was your age, words would hurt me. Yeah, when people would make fun of my hair, that would hurt. So they don't leave bruises or broken bones like what we're used to seeing when you're being hurt, but they do leave scars on the inside, and they do leave other things on the inside. Bullying is a natural part of childhood. What do you think? Do you think that everyone should go through bullying? No, because there's nothing natural about being bullied. Like I said, we see on the news all the time about people hurting themselves or others because they were bullied. So it's never a good thing. Some people deserve to be bullied. Now, I said that a couple times. No one deserves to be bullied. No matter what stupid thing that you said, no matter what grade, no matter how you look, anything, you still do not deserve to be bullied. Okay? Bullying will make you tougher. No, it really doesn't. It makes you really feel bad about yourself, and it makes you feel lower than you are. It was only teasing. I've done a whole talk about this and about how I was just teasing. I was just joking. So be tougher. Just don't get so emotional about it. And I've definitely had people tell me that. But when you're hurting someone, then it can be bullying, okay? So yeah, and I do a whole presentation about picking up, especially with facial expressions. Like if I'm saying to a friend, "You so stupid," and they're like, then clearly I should not joke around with that person like that, okay? But I know that there are some friends that I could probably call stupid because they say in their mind, I know I'm not stupid, and I know that Miss Burns doesn't think that I'm stupid, okay? So it's really knowing your friends, and most of your friends, you cannot tease like this. I am going to say that right now. This is where a lot of our bullying situations come from, is friends teasing friends. I'm going to tell you, most of the time, it's not okay. Okay, so usually I do this in person. So usually I get everyone to say the pledge, okay? So I'm just gonna say it, and you could say it with me too, okay? So I always say put your right hand in the air, okay? And say, I am a kid against bullying. And I will speak up when I see bullying. Reach out to others who are bullied. Be a friend whenever I see bullying. And that's our pledge. So if we just follow what our pledge says and what we just promised that we do, the school would just be a better place for everyone in general. All right, guys. So this is a little bit about my bullying presentation and just about what bullying is. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me. Because I love to talk about bullying. I love to talk to kids who feel like they're being bullied. Or even ones who want to change from being a bully to something else. Okay, well, I hope that we'll see a big change in the school and we'll start seeing less bullies and bullying behavior. Okay, well, thank you so much.